So welcome to Uncensored Guyana. Greetings to you. Yes, I encourage you to hit the like button, give the thumbs up. Give the thumbs up and join me in the comments section. So while we are going to discuss this issue today, I have a lot I want to cover. I would like to get your feedback in real time. That is to say that you share your views, share this live, spread the word. I am your precious gift. I am Dr. Prasad and I work for you. I serve you. So we are going to be addressing real issues. Issues not to entertain you, issues not to perpetuate the culture of gossip, but issues that matters. Issues that can have you question your own stand as a Guyanese. That and much more we'll cover today on today's live edition, Uncensored Guyana. For an update of the accident I talked about Friday last, as promised, I did visit the family that was there in the academic hospital. That's the Suriname's state hospital. I visited with the father, the mother, and the child. The child sustained some injuries, and that would be as a result of the collision. The child would have had a mild concussion. The father is okay. He was discharged. The mother sustained a few injuries, bruises, a burst lip, and superficial bruises that would go in time, would go in a few days. The main thing is the universe protected them. We just have to continue to extend our energies to the baby. The baby is just 7 months, to make sure the baby has a full recovery. Not just that, but everything is back in order and nothing serious would have happened. So that this would be my update to you regarding that. I did visit with the family, and we pray for them. And for those who regularly come visit Suriname, just like the road from the Berbice, their quarantine that takes you to South Drain, it's a long, lonely road. Fortunately for Guyanese, you have a government that made sure that all the roads, especially those main roads, are maintained and they are kept up to standard to facilitate smooth traffic and safety on the roadways. Unfortunately, here in Suriname, the road, it's poorly maintained and badly kept, and it's almost 2 kilometers of damaged roads, and you have to navigate that. So if your vehicle is not fit properly to take that journey, when you are in that piece, you can have problems with your parts. The under parts of the vehicle. Here they say understell, but of course your arms and your tires and your rims and things like that. If it's not really kept to the best ability. So I would recommend that if you don't have a pickup or a bus, take public transportation on your way here to Suriname. Use the buses. They traverse the road every day, all day, so they understand where they need to drive, and they know that. But if you're not familiar with the roads, don't come with your own vehicle. All right, take public transportation, or if you can afford it, fly. I fly when I'm going to Guyana. I use the plane. All right. So that's it for that. You know what, folks? As you know, I am not an advocate for cash grants. I need to keep saying that. I need to keep emphasizing that. Because while cash grant is a once a year event, the average person must live every day, must go to the supermarkets every day. They must buy for their family sustenance every month. It's a monthly thing for most people. Some are fortnightly, some are daily, some are weekly. But the point is, every day you have to live with the conditions of the economy. Cash grant would not make a difference where that's concerned. So the question I want to install in your mind, not just for the purpose of this program, but for you to examine it in your own thoughts. Are you better off with a better salary or continued once a year cash grant? If you had a choice, what would you choose? If a referendum was proposed for Guyanese to make an impact, or make an impression as to how they need things to go in terms of direct financial benefit, what would be your path? You can't have it both ways. You cannot have it both ways. You want common sense legislation passed and maintained for the average worker, be it private or public, or anyone soliciting the services of somebody else, to be legally protected in terms of how much they are offered or how much they can negotiate. Or let it be as it is and just settle for a once a year subsidy by way of a cash grant, which is not cannot be maintained. It's not sustainable. So there's no guarantee that every year you'll have a cash grant. There's no guarantee. Even if there was a guarantee by law that you have a cash grant, and the cash grant is consistent every year as 100,000 Guyana dollars, if the price for a kilo of rice is 1,000 Guyana dollars this year, and the cash grant is 100,000, and next year a kilo of rice is 1,500 Guyana dollars per kilo, but the cash grant is 100,000, and 5 years. In 5 years, the price of rice, 1 kilo of rice reached $5,000 per kilo, but the cash grant remains 100,000. Isn't it ridiculous? But any society understands, by virtue of inflation, the minimum wage must also be adjusted per year. You have to earn more every year. That should be a basic economics for governments. Every year, you must earn more. Let's put a note on that. There's some other things I want to cover before I get to the meat of this issue. And this is what I want to cover. You know, I made a note of it because sometimes I tend to miss some of my points. By the way, Guyanese, you must take offense to be labeled as poor. When you have these reports that politicians are using, the opposition is using it, reports from the UN and all these places to say that 58% of Guyanese are living below the poverty line. And they give a description of their ideas to what poverty is. You should take offense in that. Because almost 90% of the country is directly or indirectly employed somewhere. A large percentage of Guyanese work for the state. In other words, they work for themselves, because the state is Guyanese. So Guyanese are gainfully employed. A large percent of Guyanese are gainfully employed. If you have a job, if you leave your house, be it self-employed, be it working with a company, but as long as you are leaving your house to go to something legitimate, you should not fall under the label of poor. It's an insult. The question is not if you're poor. The question is if you're adequately compensated for your services. A poor person is a person that has no family, no place of abode, no employment, practically walks around the street, lives on a pavement, and eats out of the garbage. That's a poor person. But if you have a shelter over your head, a place to go at nights, a family, be it relatives or be it children, husband, wife, and you have and you're employed, you're not poor. Don't embrace that label, because that label comes with a curse and an identity. And if you embrace that, that's what politicians love. Politicians love when you identify yourself as poor. They have a subject to campaign on. You're not poor. You're just poorly compensated. And that's what you need to fight for. Adequate compensation. Let me just get that out there. Mr. Nandalal, again, just like everybody else, I watched the Energy Summit, where that you spoke, Mr. Nandalal, and your brother spoke at the Energy Summit. All these people in positions of influence. And the people who spoke at the Energy Summit, who are in positions of influence, most of them are not in the private sector. They're in the government. So the influence that they have, the positions that they hold, the mass of wealth that they have amassed is not because they deserve it. It is because the same people that I just referenced, that are usually labeled as poor, you are the one who made it possible for these people to occupy these seats and play these roles, pretending that they know what's best for you. So we have an Attorney General, Mr. Nandalal. I still hold you responsible for the fact that the billionaire is not on a plane yet. We have an Attorney General who is the Minister of Legal Affairs, who controls billions. Every year, billions is allocated to his ministry, that he has to find a way to utilize it. If not, it goes back into the treasury. So every year, the Minister of Legal Affairs, Mr. Nandalal, must find venture, events, programs to spend all the money. And I'm talking about billions in 12 months, billions. There we have his brother, the head of another company, state-owned company, the Guyana Power and Light, that continues to fail the people, that continues to provide poor services to the Guyanese people. The brother of the Attorney General also controls billions, hundreds of billions. So we have two brothers that sits on billions of dollars. They determine and decide how the money is spent. And both sides, the Guyanese people have a problem with the Ministry of Legal Affairs and GPL. The Guyanese citizens have a problem with how these two institutions are run. But yet they're allocated, like I said again, I reiterate, and I want to be emphatic about it, billions every year. Yet, poor electricity supply around the country. We have the power barge that promised to solve the problem of electricity but hasn't done that. But yet, billions are dispensed into these areas. Are we just dealing with two brothers who happen to come from the same party that we trust, that we placed there, that we granted a larger victory than they've ever had? And what we get is an attorney general that handles billions of dollars that cannot extradite the biggest criminal Guyana has experienced, while at the same time his brother, which is bad for politics, bad for public trust, controls a company that whose income and resources might be 100 times more than the Central Bank of Guyana. And we wonder why the opposition people continues to get talking points and continues, be it fabricating, be it leaks from the PPP, but continue to hold the government of Irfaan Ali at ransom because of all of these things that are circulating, and the evidence is there to support the theories. And when I said evidence, I'm talking about the Attorney General, his brother, the head of GPL, and that's not a friend, that's a family. What the fuck are we doing? This is how we get public trust? You have many persons who are overly skilled, of Guyanese birth, education, training, and experience in the field of energy. We talk about electricity, whatever is it, many, hundreds. They're in Guyana, they're in the US, they're different parts of the world. If you can't find a competent Guyanese who has no ties with the government to run GPL, look in America, look in England, look in Canada, look in Europe. There are thousands who would love to come and fix the problem with GPL, thousands. But every time somebody is there to run GPL, there have to be somebody in the fucking party that's connected to somebody in the fucking party. And you want public trust. Year go, year come. Nothing is solved. I don't, look, don't burden me with a PNC. Seriously. The reason why we have a second Ali term is because people are sick and tired. No, literally, sick and tired of the PNC. That's why they want to be healthy. They want to be boosted. So they decided to like fuck the PNC, give them 12 seats and let us still think they're relevant. That's it. That's a demonstration of people being sick and tired. So Ali gets a second term with a massive majority in the parliament. Not for the same shit, man. Not for the same shit. The risk the PPP is making is the risk they made in 2015 that resulted in the PNC in power. They took their base for granted. And yes, a lot of Indians voted for the PNC. A lot of Indians. Because Ramatar and the others took the PPP's base for granted. My concern is that we don't have a repeat of that. The fact that you can't get rid of Ajuddin Mohammed and his father, the fact that he's making inroads into the PPP's stronghold areas is my concern. It's my concern. It's not that the things that the people are telling him, they haven't told members of the PPP. You've done campaign, you've done consultation, you've done walking around to put together the manifesto. You've done that. You know what the people's concerns are. So yes, Mr. Nandalal and his brother is sitting on a lot of money, billions. Guyanese are not poor. Guyanese are just poorly compensated. Poorly compensated. I don't want the Guyanese to be insulted with cash grants. I don't want that. Once a year, in 12 months, I mean, like Christmas. Their budget, the average Guyanese budget, exceeds the 100,000 monthly. The average Guyanese budget. We understand the condition of the society. A lot of single parents, a lot of women with no man to support them, a lot of women with a lot of kids may not be on their own. You know, men. We tell women things they want to hear. And then we give them children and we move on. They're stuck with those children to provide for them. Yeah, it's not the government's fault. But most of the times, the man can't afford it. And men don't like to live under pressure. This is why a lot of men break the law to get fast money to do whatever. Because men cannot deal with stress. Hence the reason why a lot of men drink alcohol is to numb them from the stress they have to deal with every day. And what are the daily stress they have to deal with? Having a household that is hungry, babies crying, can't get Pampers, a wife nagging in your ears every day that she needs this, she needs that, she needs this, and you are doing your best as a man, going out, but the remuneration that you're getting can't even supply your alcohol bill. So you have a choice. Drink and get numb, or give your family the little that you have, but be sober enough to hear them complaining. Most men choose to drink and get drunk, get numb. But if the men can have the honor, if men can have the honor, the pride of being properly compensated, properly, when societies doesn't have proper laws, people abuse it. Businesses take advantage of the fact that the labor laws are stupid. So anybody can solicit the services of another person and give them some ridiculous fee and tell them if you don't want it, somebody else will take it. And the fact that we have an influx of so many foreigners, what would an employer do? A foreigner would accept 60,000 a month, 70,000 a month. The employer would say, well, I can't pay a Guyanese 200,000 or 150,000 because he wants a larger profit margin. And then there is no proper government oversight. The foreigner would accept 60,000, even 50,000. The employer will go along the line of the foreigner. But if there are proper laws on the books to protect labor, foreigners or not, that ridiculous money that Guyanese are earning, regardless of who it is, you cannot pay a human being that kind of money when your profit margin is 1,000 times more. Yes, you, Mohammed, you're one of them too. The Mohammed's enterprise, you're one of them too. You're the biggest one who underpays your staff. The biggest one. This is why you don't cover it. You don't talk about it. Because you're guilty of that. You are guilty of that. Everybody can't go into construction because construction attracts billions. So contractors can afford to pay their laborers and their skilled person a certain amount of money because they get it back. They make, I mean, the profit margin is like 70%. But everybody can't run construction companies. And speaking of construction, when we are pushing this narrative that infrastructure creates jobs, yeah, for how long? For how long? Every government that comes and goes got to build something. What happens when all the roads are built? What happens when all the bridges are built? I mean, the government. What happens when all of that is done? What happens to all the thousands of people who would have been employed in that sector? What happens to them? They'll be looking for jobs, right? We can't sell this thing like jobs have been increased because of infrastructure. At some point, the infrastructure will be used up. At some point, it will be used up. You're looking at sustainable jobs. Sustainable jobs. Not part-time to build a bridge or two years or whatever it is. Sustainable jobs. And sustainable jobs comes mainly from the government, as in government employees, be it police force, the army, or ministry workers, whatever it is. Those jobs are protected. People can retire on government employment, not the private sector. The private sector, you can't. They fire you, they treat you like shit. They underpay you because there's no proper legislations in place to protect the employees in the private sector. So you can't bank on the private sector. The worst place to work is the private sector, the worst place. I discourage people from going into the private sector. Don't go. You're young, you're hot, you're sexy, they'll fuck you. You can't report them. Yes, police might be abusing new recruits, but they can report them. You might be safer. They can't fire you. And besides, Mr. Slow, Paul Slow, this whole accusation that you have to face with a woman saying that you touched her inappropriately, court or no court, you and I know that she's correct. Because we're men, right? When men have power, they do shit. I don't think it's a thing that she has to claim. I mean, maybe she don't like you. Maybe you're not attractive to her. But if a man who is hot a man who's sexy, attractive like me, and I touch some woman's, matter of fact, she will take my hand and say, look, touch my leg. But when you are a man that women don't really want to mess around them, they're not attracted to you. Even if you tell them hi, they are offended. Much more to touch them. Yes, they'll report you because they don't like you. But if they like you, you can do whatever you want. They want you to do things. If you don't do it, they're upset because they're like, shit, is he gay? So this isn't a political witch hunt that PPP set somebody up to set up you, Paul Slow. And you're a black man. That's what black men do. They abuse their powers. Remember I said it before? In the local government coming up, if you risk it and you vote for members of the PNC / win, and a lot of the people you give positions to would be the, black men, what do? You give black men power, they fuck your wives, your daughters, and if they're into the whole homo thing, they go after your sons. It is a known thing, a known fact. It's no debate that PPP put some woman up to some fucking shit with Paul Slow. Come on, man. Enough of that nonsense. You don't try to convince men with those kind of stupid things. Tell women that, oh, I didn't touch her. Tell it to a woman, not a man. Because we know we're men, we know what we do as men. I don't need to. But I know, man, come on, man. Give them niggas some money to go buy some Mark X, some Lexus vehicle, and they're parked at the shop. They have nothing to do. They just got a new car. They're parked at a supermarket where they know women are in and out. And they make sure they position themselves so whichever woman comes can see that they're the ones with the car. They use that image of having a new car to get women. Imagine if those same niggas are CEOs, chairmen, directors of companies. Imagine. And we know a lot of employees in companies are females. And the way they dress to go to work, that's another subject. Anyway, like I said, Guyanese, you should be insulted with this whole idea of cash grant. Insulted. You don't need that shit. There is a notable character that I am partly indebted to. That politics or not, he is one of the persons who have been known to do good socially for Guyanese for decades. That is Mr. Sharma, Chandra Narayan Sharma, CN Sharma. Whatever political issues he has with PNC or PPP, that's not my concern. My thing is, Mr. Sharma didn't start a political party to do good for people. He didn't evade taxes to do good for people. He wasn't a criminal and trying to cover up his crimes by doing good for people. He just felt the calling. And he has been doing good from day one. And because he consistently, continuously, week in, week out, for years, he thought, well, maybe he should just get into politics. Because as a private citizen, he's not being hurt. That would be a premise to get into politics. But the thing I'm saying is, CN Sharma dedicated his resources, his airtime, his television, He dedicated that for years serving Guyanese. And as normal, the people who benefited the most from the philanthropy of C.N. Sharma were black people all over the country. In just homes he built, food, clothing, medical care, you name it, Sharma did it for Guyanese. And he was not into politics yet. He was just concerned about people. I admire that man. I don't care about which political party the man embraced, because he didn't. But people like that, people like C.N. Sharma, should be recognized. Recognized. Governments are not. This is where you fucking politicians should get some sense in your head. Get some sense in your head. Because none of you, let me say this again, I'm angered by this. None of you, not from the PPP, not from the PNC, or the other parties, by virtue of being an individual, reached out and served the Guyanese people to the merit and the volume of C.N. Sharma. Don't tell me because he has money. A lot of you are rich also in the PPP and the PNC, but you never did. The only time you do outreach and pretend to be giving stuff is when elections is close and you have some Christmas something. Then together you come together, you pool some money, and you don't pool money, you get sponsors to do it. Sponsors donate money to you. And you push that out as if you're giving some good to Guyanese, and you're done with it. So none of the people in the parliament, none of the people in the parliament that earns the millions that they earn, that is not impacted by the economy or the prices in the shop, none of them has ever done anything good for Guyanese citizens. None of them. I dare say, including President Ali. None of them. So this isn't unique to PNC or PPP. This is about the individuals that claims to represent the people of Guyana. Before they become politicians, they weren't serving the people. They weren't giving charity. They weren't helping with homes. They weren't doing that. They became politicians. They forgot it. Because when they became politicians and they are elected into parliament, their lives are transformed. Their lives are transformed. They are not affected, I repeat, they are not affected by the prices in the shops. They can travel free. They can get the best medical care. They earn the highest salary. They wear the finest clothing. They drive new vehicles. They live in the best neighborhoods. After they enter parliament. And what did it take? What did it take for them to enter parliament? Nothing. Nothing. No effort. Men like C.N. Sharma, for years, was never a member of the parliament, was never given government subsidies or grants, took money from his pocket. Nobody donated to him. He paid his taxes. He paid his taxes. But yet he served Guyanese unconditionally. Show me one other politician who's ever done it. Ajudi Muhammad, are you fucking kidding me? He's the worst of them all. None of them. So why did I bring that up? Because it's unfair. It's unfair to the average Guyanese. While the government is pushing cash grant to the Guyanese, thinking that that's doing the Guyanese a favor, and hey, you should shut the fuck up because I'm giving you cash grant. Once a year, all the people in the parliament Both sides, every one of them. And don't let the PNC talk bullshit about paying government workers or paying salary. No, don't. They're the fucking worst. I mean, you talk about scamming people, the PNC are the worst. They should shut the fuck up. Campbell, you should be off record. You shouldn't speak. Nobody from the PNC should speak. And when it comes to Azharuddin Mohammed, you are the king of stupidity and the king of using your workers. So you guys have no credibility to say shit. You shouldn't say shit. Shut up. Okay? Just shut up. None of you in the parliament, not from the Speaker of the House to the Clerk of the Parliament, none of you can talk anything when it comes to poverty. Because you're all living large. You're all living large. So it's not affecting you. Inflation does not affect you. Yes, you're going to push for cash grants because it helps to keep your constituents quiet. So I want to know how many people in the parliament, how many people in the government owns supermarkets. I was made to understand that Azharuddin Mohammed owns a few supermarkets in Linden. It's not verified. I haven't confirmed that. But he owns some supermarkets. He's a retailer. But how many government people or party people owns wholesale or does wholesale and retail? You see, that depends on how much representation the people will get regarding the prices in the shops. Because if politicians own supermarkets, if politicians are involved in wholesale or retail, they're not going to want to discuss that. Because dropping prices is going to affect their pockets. So they're not going to discuss that. So I want to know how many of them are involved in the retail business or wholesale business. Because all we hear, all you talk about, empowering Guyanese, empowering Guyanese. You want to empower Guyanese? Give them better wages. It ain't your fucking money. Give them better salaries. Most of the people who are going to work every day are members of the PPP. Move around in the neighborhoods. Choose a neighborhood. Drive around there in the hours where people should typically be at work and see who you see liming on the streets. Most are Negroes. They're the base of the PNC. So yes, cash grants will do them good. But the people who have to deal with the real issues of the Guyanese economy are largely supporters of the PPP. They're the ones who go to work. They're the ones who have to contend with the meager salary they're getting. They're the ones who are accepting 60, 70,000 a month. They are the ones. You saw the other day a clip circulating with an Indo-Guyanese woman who apparently caught her husband at the side chick's apartment that he rented. And the claims from the woman is saying that the man don't look after his household. She's not getting anything from him, but he has enough money to rent a house for some sweet woman, and he's spending more time with the sweet woman, while at the same time neglecting his own family. Look, like I said again, I wouldn't judge a man when it comes to the need to sexualize himself or to socialize sexually. Recreation or sex creation. One woman cannot satisfy a man. That's a fact. One woman cannot sexually satisfy a man. You have an issue with that, go fuck yourself. Like I said, it's impossible. One woman cannot sexually satisfy a man. Therein, men have to sneak out, sneak around, masturbate, or go after homosexuals or prostitutes. So I ain't judging men for that. I'm a man. My thing is here. You never take from your family to give another woman. That's my thing. If you're going to fuck another woman outside, make sure she has a job. But if she's broke and your wife doesn't work and you don't have an income that can sustain your family, but still you want to impress another woman by renting a house to put her in, and you got to pay rent for that building, you got to furnish the building, you got to provide food for her, and you're not adequate in your own house, that's being stupid. That's being stupid. And quite frankly, black men do that. I don't see this as an Indian culture thing. Not even white men, Caucasian, they don't do that. That's the thing that stupid black men do. So you have an Indian man who is dumb enough to rent a house for a sweet woman while starving his own family. It's not an Indian culture. I know what I'm saying. That's what black men do. Dumbass black men. Oh, don't point the finger at me. I never do that. Rent house for some sweet woman and punish my family? You fucking kidding me? No. Pussy is free. You don't need to rent a house for a woman for that. It's all over the place. So it was hurting to see that the child ran to the father and he just stood there. What can justify that? What can justify you starving your family just for some side chick that could possibly be fucking another man? And you rent a house for her because you don't want some other guy to do it? You should be happy if another man does it. If another man does it and she wants to fuck him and still give you the pussy, good for you. But fellas, don't do that. Don't neglect your household just to finance some side chick. If you want to impress a side chick, make sure your wife gets so much that she can't take anymore. When you fuck the wife and she can't anymore, and she's telling you she's not a robot, why don't you go find another woman? That's your cue. That's your clue. Your cue. Go find another woman. But make sure that you spoil your family. Spoil the woman that you have or your children. Spoil them. If you are living in the same house with them, spoil them. Then you can have excuses. Because we know as men, a woman is not sexually available to a man every day. Not even every 2 days. We know that as men, it's not possible. Never happened. I mean, prostitutes are, but they do it because of the money and they have to drink and get high and use drugs and all these kinds of nonsense. And you risk a lot of diseases. But regardless of what a woman at home might say, because some women like to say that, oh no, I give it to him when he wants. That's a fucking lie. That's a lie. Shut up. It's a lie. Because you talk to the man and he said, she's just talking. It don't happen. But it's not a justification for you to be with your wife in the same house with children and you are starving them, neglecting her to go and build a life with some single woman who might very well be having some side guy somewhere. Because of what? Because of pussy? Because of sex? Don't you think the single woman is going to give you pussy when you want it because she knows you got a wife at home? And you might be complaining to her about the wife? So she's going to pretend and give it to you just to get you away from the woman? You want to know how good she is? Move in permanently with her. Move in permanently with a sweet woman, and then you'll find out if she was better than the wife. They never are. They never are. Most of the times they are worse, and they're the ones who cheat on you. The ones you leave your wife for, they're the ones who fuck on your head and cheat on you. So don't do that. Black or Indian, whoever you are, don't do that. When your family has enough and your wife can't take it anymore, meaning she had enough sex, and you're horny, you go and do your stuff. But don't let it come back to your family. Don't affect your family with that shit. What you do outside, Vegas, let it stay there. Keep your life private. Don't discuss your wife with the side chick or other women. Don't do it. Your private life is private. Your public life, then whatever. I'm not here to glorify anything or to say things that people want to hear. I'm not here for that. But I'm saying there's some things that you can't judge men for. You see, I don't talk about the Epstein case. I don't talk about it. Why should I? Because I'm a man too. I'm not going to judge men. Whatever claims you want to make, it's you. If I don't see with my own eyes, I wouldn't judge a man. What I'm concerned about is people are properly compensated. And in Guyana, where we have all this oil money, billions of revenues, billions in oil revenue, not the other sectors, oil. The whole world is focusing on the Guyanese oil. So we're having all this oil revenue for all these years, every month. But what we're seeing is infrastructure. But the infrastructure of the Guyanese family is not impacted. They're not impacted. They're the ones who need to be impacted. Everything is not loans from the bank. Because either way, if they get loans from the bank, 40 million, 20 million, they have to pay it back. How are they going to pay it back? With that salary they get? That loan is going to go over to their children? The Guyanese must be adequately, handsomely compensated for services they render to their country. It hurts to love a country that doesn't love you back. It hurts to give so much to your country and your country does not give back to you. Guyanese don't want to glory in the resources of another country. Guyanese want to take pride in the blessings they can unearth from their own country. I close with this. It hurts to love a country that doesn't love you back. I thank you for your attention. Share this live. Give me the thumbs up. Express your feelings in the comment section. Let's address real issues and make sure that we all prosper in our prosperous country. Until next time, goodbye.